my very little embraces, I'm going to read the story of Noah's Ark to you today. And what I would love for you to do is, whilst I'm reading this story to you, I would love it if you could get your colourings out, get your pens, your paper, your everything, and I would love it if you could draw me a picture of Noah's Ark. And what I would love is if your grown-ups could post your picture of Noah's Ark in the comments for me to see. So I'm going to try and so you can see me. Well, see the story, the pictures, and still hear me. Noah's Ark. Right, here we go. Can we see? A long time ago, God looked down on the world and found he wasn't at all pleased with what he saw. The world was no longer the beautiful place he had made. Everywhere he looked, he saw fighting and people being unkind. The world needs a new start, God decided. I will send a flood to wash away all the wickedness, and I will ask Noah to help me. God knew that Noah was a good and honest man who loved God. He worked hard for his family and was kind to even the tiniest of creatures. God knew that Noah was the perfect person to help him with the plan. So God spoke to Noah. At first, Noah was afraid, but when he heard God's kind words, he listened carefully. Noah, said God, I have something very important to tell you. I am going to wash the world clean with a great flood. Then start all over again. Every living thing will be washed away, but you and your family will be saved. You must build a big, strong ark and fill it with every kind of animal you can find. There was no time to lose. Noah went to find his tool bag at once. Then Noah rushed off to tell his family what God had said. They all loved God as much as Noah did, so they got to work right away. As they cut down trees and started to saw and hammer away, people came to see what they were doing. God told me to build an ark to save us from a great flood, explained Noah. Laughed the others. You must be crazy. You're wasting your time. Why don't you come and have fun with us? Noah refused to listen to them. He worked hard and harder. He worked day after day and year after year. He knew he was doing God's work. After many long years, Noah tapped in a final nail and stood back to admire his work. The ark was finished at last. It's all very well, scoffed a passerby, but what use is a boat without water? For the boat was sitting on dry land. You'll see, replied Noah. There's plenty of room for you if you want to come aboard when God floods the world. You're plain crazy, laughed another person. Only a madman would spend all those years building a boat without water. Everyone laughed at Noah and carried on with their wicked ways. But Noah didn't mind. He still had work to do. It was time to load the ark with all the supplies they would need for a long voyage. As Noah and his family carried on food, water, and piles of warm bedding, they suddenly heard a loud sound. What was that? Asked Noah. Everyone stopped and looked around. At first they couldn't see anything. Then dust began to rise and the ground began to quake. Look, cried Mrs. Noah, pointing. There in the distance they could just make out a pair of woolly sheep, and behind them came a pair of striped zebras. Behind them was a pair of prancing horses. The animals were coming. Soon every animal you could possibly imagine, and a few you couldn't, were streaming onto the ark. All aboard, called Noah as he checked each one of it off on his list. Noah was almost ready to slam the door shut when he noticed that a crowd was watching. People from far and wide had come to laugh at crazy Noah. "It's not too late, save yourselves and climb aboard before the rain starts," cried Noah. Behind them was a pair of prancing horses. The animals were coming. Soon every animal you could possibly imagine, and a few you couldn't, were streaming onto the ark. All aboard, called Noah as he checked each one of it off on his list. Noah was almost ready to slam the door shut when he noticed that a crowd was watching. People from far and wide had come to laugh at crazy Noah. "It's not too late, save yourselves and climb aboard before the rain starts," cried Noah. But that just made the crowd laugh even more. It's not kind, is it? No. They all thought Noah and his family were crazy to crowd onto a boat with all those noisy, smelly animals. They roared with laughter as Noah struggled to get the last animal on board and close the door of the ark. Almost immediately, clouds filled the sky and the first drop of rain began to fall. It rained and it rained and it rained. Oh. Soon water began to flood the land around the ark. Lightning flashed and thunder crashed. The wind howled and waves crashed against the side of the ark. One enormous wave lifted the ark clear off the ground and carried it away. It rained for 40 days and 40 nights. Water covered the world until there was no dry land left. The ark was tossed about by the waves, but it refused to sink. Inside, Noah and his family were too busy to be afraid. There were animals to feed and beds to clean. Noah always found the time to make sure that even the smallest animals felt safe and calm. "Don't worry, God will take care of us," he told them. Sure enough, God hadn't forgotten them. One day, a warm wind began to blow and the rain stopped. Very soon, the water began to go down. Then, after 150 days of calm seas, there was a loud bump, followed by a scraping sound. The ark had come to rest on the top of a mountain called Ararat. Noah and his family peered out anxiously. "When can we get off?" asked his sons. "The animals are getting wild." Noah just smiled. "God will give us a sign when it is time," he said. Many long weeks passed, then Noah decided to send out a dove to search for dry land. All day, everyone waited anxiously for the bird to return. Finally, just as it was getting dark, the dove came back with a fresh olive branch in its beak. "This is a sign from God. It's time to leave the ark." Noah and his sons pushed against the ark's door until it burst open. There was stampede as the animals poured out into the sunshine. They were delighted to be free at last. They couldn't wait to find homes and fill the world with new life once more. Noah and his wife were so glad that they had made it safely through the flood. As they watched the animals leave, they looked up into the sky joyfully. "Thank you, God, for keeping us safe," they cried. Can you see what's there? Can you see the rainbow? Suddenly, an amazing striped arch filled the sky. It was the world's very first rainbow. Then God spoke to Noah again. "Do you see this rainbow?" he asked. "This is a sign of my promise to you and all the animals, that I will never again send a flood to wash away the world. Every time it rains, a rainbow will appear to remind you of many promises and of my love for the world." From that day on, God was true to his word. He never sent another flood, and Noah and his family lived happily in their bright new world. The end. And there's that pretty rainbow. So I chose that story because it's a little bit crazy at the moment. Like Noah, we're not stuck on an ark, but we're stuck in our houses. And I know it can be quite difficult, but every time you see a rainbow, and I know lots of you must have drawn rainbows to put in your windows. I know I've got a rainbow in mine. Just remember that that's God's promise to us, and that he's got us, and that we're lovely and safe. And I can't wait to see all your pictures in the comments below. Thank you.